Aloha mai kako, you are watching Hawaii Political Reporter.
Aloha and welcome to Hawaii Political Reporter. Thanks for watching. Tonight, anonymous response to the Obama gun control initiatives, the Hawaii community calendar of events including updates on Occupy Hawaii and the Hawaii Libertarian Party, and we finish our interview with local sportsman and Hilo boy Pat Pacheco on gun control in Hawaii. But first, state news about the PLDC and gun control legislation. In Hawaii state news, hallelujah. Shall we bring the chorus on? Hallelujah, amen, and praise the Lord. The House repeals the PLDC and sends the bill to the Senate. According to the Honolulu Civil Beat, as expected, and this is dated 2/14/2013, the House repeals the PLDC and sends the bill to the Senate. As expected, the Hawaii House of Representatives passed House Bill 1133, repealing the Public Land Development Corporation. The vote was unanimous. More information is available at the website, but I'd like to personally thank all those involved, many people all around statewide. Locally here, we have Kerry Marks, Occupy Hawaii. Mayor Kim was working very vigorously on this. Bob Patrici and the whole Punapono Alliance. Many parties, and this is definitely a victory for the people, and it shows what can be done when we work together. Moving on, the Hawaii Rifle Association by Dr. Maxwell Cooper is posting the HRA legislative report, SB 932 Mental Health, and this is posted Monday, 11 February 2013, and basically states that the mental health, SB 932, was heard on 2/8/13 in the Senate Health and Public Safety Committee. The bill would require mental health caregivers to report patients involuntarily hospitalized for serious mental illness or any patient who indicated plans to use a dangerous implement against a named person. Failure to report would be a felony. Protection of confidential patient-doctor communication and records would be abolished. Firearms would be immediately seized. A list would be kept by government and everyone on it would be denied a firearm permit. Those on the list would have to prove they have no mental illness to get it. In other words, guilty till proven innocent. There was no testimony in support and over 125 in opposition. Even the Attorney General's representatives, the Health Department, and the Department of Public Safety couldn't say much nice about the bill. Like Hawaii Rifle Association, the Mental Health of America, and much of the other testimony in opposition, they agree the intent was good, to reduce violence with dangerous implements, but the bill was unsupportable. And they give a link, and you, of course, can get more information and detail on the story itself from the Hawaii Rifle Association. Faced with no support, the health chair, Senator Green, indicated he and his colleagues intend to amend the bill to establish a working group of representatives from gun rights supporters, law enforcement attorneys, the Department of Health, physicians, and possibly firearms dealers to make recommendations. Good idea, okay? Listen to your constituents a little and not pass unconstitutional edicts. That'd be very appreciated. We'd appreciate that. We understand you probably meant well, but you know, two wrongs do not make a right, and taking away the process and our constitutional rights is not good. It's not acceptable. Once again, good things happen for gun rights supporters because many supporters from all corners of the community sent good testimony, and an impressive number showed up to sit across the conference table from their senators to explain why the bill was so terrible. This is so true. We must participate if we expect to have decent government. Otherwise, they will do things without knowing the full ramification and scope from their limited perspective without getting enough input from the wide variety of public perspectives. Now, moving on, now's the time to go proactive while still maintaining a good defense of our rights. The legislature goes into a mandatory 5-day recess from February 21st through February 26th. Please make a phone call this week to your own senator and representative and ask for an appointment to meet with them during a recess to discuss gun control, your views and theirs. Be politely insistent this is very important to you as a constituent. Their staffs will place your message before you. Representatives and senators, if you're not here back in 2 to 3 days, you may well not call back. It is understood that every legislator is expected to represent his or her constituency, and to do that, they must open their offices and their schedules to hear you. Not registered to vote, please do register. And don't know who your legislators or how to call them? Go to the legislative homepage, www.capitol.hawaii.gov, and click to find your legislator. in the box in the upper right corner. And of course, more information and the full details at the Hawaii Rifle Association website. And final thing, don't know what to say, politely expressing your personal feelings is best. Hawaii Rifle Association will have talking points on the issues, and the website, hawaiirifleassociation.org, or by request, and you can call them at 808-225-6944. This is by Dr. Maxwell Cooper, HRA Legislative Liaison.
Attention all Americans, we are anonymous. In early December of 2012, a crazy person in Connecticut went to a school and killed 20 school children and a number of adults. The attack in a theater in Colorado was the act of a crazy person. There are always some crazy people, and there are already laws in place making it illegal for them to obtain or to use them. It is illegal to take a firearm into a school or a theater. It is illegal to kill people, yet these laws did not stop these events, because criminals do not obey the law. Only law-abiding citizens obey the law, and the law-abiding citizens are not the problem. Connecticut is the 4th highest gun control state in the country, and it's very hard to get a gun. Chicago and New York have the highest crime rates, and each has had total gun bans for years, yet gun violence increased. Mexico has a total gun ban for all citizens, but in the last 3 years, more than 55,000 people have been killed by guns because only the drug cartels and criminal government have them. Throughout history, authoritarian governments have used gun violence as an excuse to take people's firearms and control their population. This is exactly what Adolf Hitler did to disarm the German people, and look at the atrocities his administration did. Obama has been working hard to try and ban all semi-automatic weapons and shotguns, while at the same time increasing the weapons and firepower that police and government agencies have. Within minutes of the Connecticut shootings, politicians were on the state-run media saying it was time to get rid of the guns, and they will be talking about it for weeks to come. The Obama administration and his government-funded media have been promoting this idea for months. Every time there is a shooting performed by a crazy person, the media talks about it non-stop for weeks or months. But when there is an illegal or unlawful shooting by police that does not fit Obama's agenda, the story is barely mentioned, such as some of the following cases.
August 2nd, 2012. Travis Carter was shot in the head while handcuffed in a patrol car in police custody. Police claim he hid the gun and shot himself, even though he already told his girlfriend they would go to a movie when he got out. January 2009. Bart police officer Johannes Messel shoots and kills a handcuffed, restrained, unarmed man, while multiple other police officers are around. August 2012. A man at the Empire State Building has killed a co-worker, and the police showed up and unleashed a hail of gunfire at the man, killing him, and the police bullets also injured many pedestrians. July 2012. Some protesters demand answers from police about why they shot a man in the back. The police responded on the crowd of protesters that had many children under the age of 10, with rubber bullets and attack dogs.
These stories got barely a whimper out of the press, and certainly did not get the coverage of several weeks, even though they are just as newsworthy. In addition, are the other major violent crimes where firearms were not even used.
August 2007, Connecticut. In a home invasion, a wife and 2 children were murdered. The wife and youngest daughter were also victims of sexual assault. Only the father husband survived, and he was badly beaten. October 2012. A mother and her 2 children were brutally murdered in California home. The suspect did not choose a firearm. October 2012. 2 children were found stabbed to death when their mother returned home. The suspect was the children's nanny. September 2012. Siblings' throat slit by intruder.
The press also hardly mentions the cases where guns were used by law-abiding citizens to save lives to avoid being raped or killed.
October 2012. 12-year-old Oklahoma girl shoots home intruder to protect herself after she tried to evade them. January 2012. 14-year-old boy kills intruder when a gang of 4 men break into his house, where he was alone with his 17-year-old sister.
Many would have you believe that guns are the cause of violence, but that is like saying fat people are obese because they have forks and spoons. It is caused by the person that commits the acts, not the instrument they used. If guns were the cause of the violence, then the police would be committing more violence with guns and would need disarmed instead of being more heavily armed. And the military and National Guard should never be used to perform law enforcement duties. Other Anons and many other people, including Alex Jones and many others, have provided lots of evidence over the years to these facts. It has been known, predicted by many for several months, and in some cases years, that Mr. Obama's intentions are to confiscate all firearms, or at least as much as he can, to make it easier to usher in a fascist police state, to establish a one-world government, and under a one-world currency system. It was a tragedy in Connecticut, where the school children were murdered by a crazy person, and, as we have demonstrated in this video, there are countless cases where the press did not report on it as much, because it was not on a political agenda. How dare Mr. Obama soil their memories, and who they were, and are, by using this and other events for his own purpose. Guns have been used to save lives, and could have been used to save other people. Mr. Obama would have you believe that guns are the cause of these crimes that CNN, Fox, and the rest of mainstream media talk about so much, but it is hardly mentioned when the crimes are committed by authorities that are ever increasingly armed. Mr. Obama will tell you he needs to get guns out of the hands of criminals, but he will be taking them out of the hands of law-abiding citizens, while the criminals will still have them, and will have other means of inflicting harm. The law-abiding citizen will be helpless. Those that were saved by guns will become victims. And those that could have been saved by guns will have that history repeated, as others end up raped and murdered. Mr. Obama, the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution does not talk about an army. That is covered elsewhere in the Constitution. It does talk about a well-regulated militia, which is made up of civilians with their own weapons. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution does not talk about protecting government or government resources, but it does talk about being necessary for the security of the free state. The Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution does not say a single word about hunting or sport. But it does say,
"The people's right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed."
to the American people. As many laws have been banning firearms in cities such as Chicago, New York, and Washington, D.C., have been implemented, and, as the courts get them, they are now being overthrown as unconstitutional. Even if they were not ruled on, they are an infringement to your Second Amendment rights, and you have no obligation to obey it, and the courts have no obligation to enforce it.
No one is bound to obey an unconstitutional law, and no courts are bound to enforce it.
Mr. Obama, as the chief law enforcement officer of the country, you are responsible for the conduct of those under your command. There will be no further tolerance of any of the following: any act to infringe on any of the Bill of Rights, as identified in the U.S. Constitution. Any act to seize or locate any firearms or ammunition. Any act to control the ownership of firearms or ammunition. Any act to control the manufacturing or sales of firearms or ammunition. Any act to document ownership, purchases, or attempts to purchase firearms or ammunition. Any act to deploy or stage for deployment any military forces or government employees or agents thereof, for the purpose of asserting control over the population, or the rights of the people, or the states, as defined in the U.S. Constitution, such as would be used in martial law. Any act to write, form, negotiate, enter into, or comply with any international treaty that would or could do any of the points mentioned previously.
Reed versus Covert, 354 U.S. 1, 1957. Treaties do not confer powers not authorized by Constitution.
Any action taken by you to attempt to perform those acts, or similar acts, as interpreted by the American people, or any attempt by you to skirt your responsibility to the true office of the presidency, will be viewed by many people as your willful act of insurrection and treason against the American people, as those acts would be willful disregard of your oath of office. Any further attempt by you.
Hawaii Political Reporter Community Calendar. Occupy Hawaii for February. More information, search Occupy Hawaii. The Libertarian Party of Hawaii January newsletter features a letter to the governor urging an end to the prohibition of marijuana. Many of us who do not smoke marijuana are tired of peaceful citizens being arrested for non-violent crimes costing us millions, tired of noisy skies, and want the economic benefits of the wide variety of useful products that can be made from this weed. There is also a focus on the unconstitutional jailing of Roger Christie without trial and an appeal to work for his freedom. More information at thelastmarijuanatrial.com. Young Americans for Liberty are also mentioned and active on college campi. More information at libertarianpartyofhawaii.org. But I think one thing Pat and I will totally agree on, okay, in both cases, if they're coming in with a bomb, okay, if they're coming in with, who knows, some kind of, chemical weapon, whatever, anything they're coming on there to do harm of any sort, somebody's got a nice gun on that, on that property, and maybe even, now Pat and I will probably disagree, but maybe even an assault weapon. He's going to take the guy out a lot faster, or, if it's a group of them. So Pat, any last, go ahead.
Exactly. My opinion again, is if a person has a gun, he's carrying a concealed weapon, and nobody knows about it. I mean, by looking at him too, looking at his face, looking at the way he moves, there's something different about him.
You're right. Pat, what Pat you're talking about, this is what the Israelis do. They profile. Okay, and this is what the Israelis do in the airport, and they have profiling, and I'm all in favor of profiling. I know, and believe me, I don't want to be racist or anything to anybody. Just like you said earlier, hey, it's white males doing this, so profile white males in this case. Okay, use common sense and do what needs to be done. Okay.
I watch, we all watch news, of course, and you see that these people that do mass murder or killing with guns and all that. You watch how they act. Number one, they're not normal. They're not normal. They feel, number one, they're afraid, really.
Yeah.
And they should not be because they have a weapon. But they're afraid of what they're going to do to people. They're not afraid of dying, what they're going to do, so they're acting different. When the trigger didn't come, when am I going to do it? Now. Okay, now. No. They're waiting, and all of a sudden they react. That light goes on. So by seeing that and having a person, somebody that can carry a gun, and see this guy go for it, let that person take him out. Yeah. Because he's going to take out a lot more and then take himself.
And let's look at this practically for now. Let's look at this practically. Just like you said, you were saying at the beginning of the show, they can't keep the guns out. So let's pretend, let's say the assault weapons ban goes through. Oh, goody, goody. And by the way, there was a law that nobody could carry a gun on the property.
Right.
And how's that been working for us? Okay? So, I mean, here's the question. I mean, let's say it's all done. Come on, people. I mean, any of you arguing for this, do you really think, I mean, you're going to stop? Look at what this guy did in Sweden. The guy went nuts. What is it, 97 people or something there, Pat? All over the place. And I don't even think it was with a semi-auto. You know, and by the way, you do the semi-auto, they're thinking to limit to 10 shots or less, okay? Hey, they carry 2 or 3, okay? They got I mean, come on, man. You're not going to stop these guys if they're really going to go, okay? So, you know, that's just my thought. And
no,
Pat,
that's good.
Pat and I...
Let's face it, no. I'm born and raised on these islands to have many of our people, the people of Hawaii, yeah? And how many of us in our lifetime have we seen massacre in Hawaii? Yes, we had one in Honolulu. Yeah. But I tell you what, it's very possible today.
Yeah.
Today, the people are coming in here. See, the Westerners come in. Many of them come, they stand here. And many of them goes to doctors, and they probably go get prescription because I see these clowns.
Oh, brother, you're really hitting the truth here. And by the way, I like what you're saying.
These people, if they got a hold of a gun and they act up, you know what's going to happen? The poor people die. These people, they put them out, send them to psychiatric help, slap the hand, don't do it again. So the law protects the criminal. The law protects the murderer.
Protects the biggest criminals. That's actually, the government in general.
Who is responsible? The government itself. By letting these people go out, and repeat the same offense.
Yeah, well, you're hitting on a couple other things just to go, and I like how you say the Western, it's true, it is the Westernization, and that's one thing I really have an actual thing, this is way different, but I really understand and feel with the people of Iran. I'm part American Indian, Native American myself, okay? And I got to tell you, man, you've seen it, you grew up here. You and I know, I mean, there's a lot of good things about the Western culture and society, but there's a lot about the others too. And, it's basically the problem when you get here, and you were talking about it, is when you start stepping on the people, okay, and on them all the time, and you try to push them into a corner, either with your brainwash or this or that. This is when you get these kind of problems. Exactly. This is what happens, man. And what's going on here, what you were saying about, what they're going to do here, I just want to put that in perspective, though, one thing. Even with all the problems, okay, I mean, if we were getting 100 gun murders a year, on this island, 100, it's still way less than the accidents, okay? And then how many are safe? So my personal belief, Pat, I think and I will let you close it and put your setting. My personal belief is leave the assault weapons alone. There's too many things coming, and even if you get rid of what's happening now, and even if you got rid of every single one in existence out there, it's not going to go away. The problem's not going to go away. Your murder, rape, and robbery rates are going to go up. You can look at the statistics as we've shown on this show. That's my thing. Pat, why don't you finish us up? Tell us your final thoughts and counter my argument there.
Okay. If you say that the assault weapon, okay, leave it alone and all that, well, when you say leave it alone, who's going to handle it? Who's going to get it? That's the one I'm afraid of. Mm-hmm. I mean, by leaving it alone, then you're inviting everybody else, or these psychiatric people, psychos, can get the gun and continue on. Why? Because we still can get them. But if you can control that gun and give it to the people, use it where it's supposed to be used in war. I'll stick to my opinion on that, because that gun is massive. It can take away, clean out a whole shopping center or whatever, yeah? Not fortunately, we know why we didn't get it. But are we ready for this when it happens, or are we going to wait till it happens? I believe, why wait until it happens? Do something now. It's been shown. you say you're part Indian. And we the people, we sympathize. The American Indians was faced with how the Western people would treat them. They took away their land, their food, and put them in deserts where they could even survive. Well, what happened to the American Indian is happening to the people of Hawaii. So we're in the same boat. You're right.
Pat?
This is why we agree on things, but maybe we differ on this assault weapon. But I still say this gun is mass destruction and can take away a lot of people.
It is mass destruction. You're entirely right. And here's one last final thought on that, countering you a bit again. If the American Indians had the assault rifles back then, how might they have fared against those? Because that is what won it for the other side, and that's my argument. And when China wants to take away our guns, when the government wants to take away our guns, when there's all kinds of gangs running out there, when we have a real potential of 1 in 3 chance, I would say, of economic total collapse, I want them. But Pat's argument is definitely valid. We appreciate it.
One other last comment I'd like to say.
Sir.
I mean, by talking about this mass destruction, this weapon, and talking about, like you mentioned, gangs. Well, just recently, if we all know Connecticut High School, there was a gang fight. They had to close the school down and all. So people, look, it's starting. Stop it. It's going to get bigger and bigger. Why? Because we have people coming into this island of different backgrounds that don't understand and want to control. We want to control. They want to control their way of living down here. So if the people who run this place, law enforcement, politicians, don't make laws and put the laws where they're supposed to be used, not slap community service. Come on, this guy do something wrong, penalize him. Let it be an example to show that this is what's going to happen to anybody who does it. No, they only pick who they want to do it. Now I'm coming on in this and voicing my opinion like this. I can tell you one thing. They're going to watch me like a hawk. And you know what? I got nothing to hide.
Hey, you know what, brother? It's just like you said. You said you got to tell the truth. I've come to the conclusion, one other thing, you always got to do what's right.
That's right.
Don't overthink it. Just damn do what's right, okay?
That's right.
And so, and let the chips lie where they may. And you know what? It's not necessarily going to go bad either. And you know what? Other people will be more emboldened to do it. One last thing, Pat, and I'll bet you we both agree on this. Here's what I was just thinking throughout this all. We are now talking about a federal assault weapons ban. How about this, okay? How about this thing where I believe it really should be done at the state? Okay, it's another thing I was listening to last night, how the federal government was stealing all the lands and everything from the states. How about this? If Hawaii doesn't want it, let Hawaii not have it. Okay, that's where it is. Okay, or just in the contrary here. I personally want them. You don't want them. But you know what? If Washington, to me, this is going to be an epic battle. It's going to be gigantically epic. I would say 50-50 chance either way. They'll probably, what's going to really happen, how serious it is. And you know what? Maybe, the people of Hawaii say, hey, we do want an assault weapons ban. But now Washington didn't do it. How about the states having their ability? Yeah.
I believe in this. And I don't know how you feel about it, but I believe in this. We live on this island, Hawaii, the big island.
Yep.
Let our home rule. Why should we let other people tell us how to live?
Yeah, we agree on that. We totally agree.
Let us live the way we want to. Why should you tell me what to wear, what to eat,
including what kind of gun you can have? If they don't want assault weapons here, they shouldn't be had. If the government allows it, and vice versa.
There you go. Let the home rule decide for the people. This is their home. I don't want to see Honolulu decide what I got to wear.
And I don't want to see Washington decide what Honolulu is going to do.
There you go. So why wake up, people, and wake up and smell the coffee. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Smell the corner coffee and know that, look, this is our land. We belong here. Our forefathers have lived here. We want to continue to live here the way we live. Love one another. Help one another. Have the aloha spirit when you preach about Hawaii. Not aloha, aloha. No, aloha comes from the heart, brother.
Yeah.
Aloha comes
and
from
not $1 million advertising campaigns of BS. Okay, huh? Little bit truth. Hey, Pat, how can we top this? We should probably quit while we're ahead, huh?
Okay.
Taken away from the people, but it was given up in the Federal Reserve Act. The Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express.
You try a hide and destroy a freedom man. You seek agenda, we know you anti-American. You come forward American Constitution. 1913, corrupt in the system. Devalue dollar, hyperinflation. The Federal Reserve, controlled by Lucifer. He can see you lying.